A lot of questions about, general questions about what's the offense going to look like? What's the defense going to look like? Is there a concern whether, Venables can recruit offense, those sorts of things. But when we look at the offense, let's start with Dillon Gabriel, of course. Any concern that, he faced the American Conference for 3 seasons and faced some good defenses at times during the season, but he's going to be facing collectively better defensive play from week to week with the likes of Texas and Kansas State and some defense, Oklahoma State and Baylor, obviously, in the Big 12.
I think this offense as a whole can be great, and I think it goes as far as Dillon Gabriel takes us. I remember when Dillon Gabriel first was in the portal, he was committed to UCLA, and I think Brum brought it up on one of our shows. This is right around the time Caleb Williams was leaving too, and it's one of the first names that Brum mentioned is keep an eye out for Dillon Gabriel. This guy could be coming, the familiarity with Jeff Lebby, this and that. And Mark, to kind of piggyback off what you said, I remember being on the show and expressing my concern because of what you just said. The fact that he's playing in the American Athletic and things of that nature, and not playing maybe toughest or quite as good as competition as he'll see at Oklahoma. So I did have that concern. And not only that, but you lose Caleb Williams, Austin Stogner, Jaden Hazelwood, Mario Williams. This offense has had some departures, but at the same time, as the summer has progressed, as Jose alluded to earlier, you bring in 2 former 4-stars in about a week of each other, and LV Bunkley Shelton and JJ Hester at receiver. I think that those guys are going to be pretty damn good. I think Jalil Farouk is a pretty good receiver. I think the running backs are going to be pretty solid. I think Javante Barnes is going to be one of the best running backs we've seen in a while at OU. Kenny Brooks, another departure, but so I think Javante Barnes is going to be good. I think Marcus Major is going to take that next step. I think the pieces are there for this offense to click and be pretty darn good. I think it might take a couple weeks just to get their bearings and figure it all out. But I think I realistically think it could be a top 15, top 10 offense in the country, because I think that the weapons are there, and it's going to depend on if Dillon Gabriel can take that next step against the better level of competition.
What makes me not too concerned about this, Dillon Gabriel specifically in the offense, is how Dillon and Lebby did work together back in UCF, and I believe that was Dillon's best year at Central Florida. So I think as long as they can, and it's been some time that they've worked together, but if they can get that cohesiveness again and get the pieces on this offense to work as one whole unit, they'll be fine. So I'm not sure if I'll go ahead and say top 10, top 15, but they'll be a really good offense in college football, as long as that familiarity is there between both of them. If it was Dillon Gabriel with a completely different offense that he's never touched before, and a completely different coach that he had no real relationship with in the past, then I could see how it's a much bigger concern, because like both of you have said, playing in the AAC, there was some competition that they faced, but it's not going to be to the level of players or coaches that he's going to be facing this year.
Yeah, and I think the key is going to be is they need to keep Dillon Gabriel healthy. Keep him upright. Don't let him get hit. And I think this offensive line is going to be one of the better ones that we've had in the past few years. You look at this offensive line, they brought in McCade Mettauer. He's a transfer from Cal. Just looking, Anton Harrison at left tackle, McCade Mettauer at left guard, Rame, which he's a young guy, but he played quite a bit last year at center. You got Chris Murray at right guard, and then Wanya Morris, which is the Tennessee transfer from the previous offseason. That offensive pairing, that offensive line is extremely strong, and the depth at the running back position is a lot better than what it was last year. There was a time where I felt like if OU lost one running back last year, I don't know who they would turn to. It was someone way down the depth chart. They brought in a lot of depth there. There's a lot of talent along that offensive line that they're going to be able to not have to rely quite as much on Dillon Gabriel to do everything. They're going to be able to protect him. They're going to be able to run the ball. And then as long as they can run the ball, keep him upright, he's going to make the passes. Yes, he's at the American Athletic, and it might not be perfect in the very beginning, and nor should we expect it to be. With a whole new system, and he's been away from the system that Lebby had for a few years. But I feel like by games 3 or 4, you're going to see Gabriel really feel comfortable and really get rolling, and that we're going to be able to run the ball and really have solid defense where Gabriel might not have to put up 45 points a game to win a football game. They might be able to only need to put up, 30, 35. I mean, so while some games I felt like with the previous staff, you'd have to put up 50 points to win, I feel like with this new staff and this new, defensive scheme, OU might only have to average 35 points a game to really to win, and they can run the ball and protect him. I think they're gonna be fine. I'm not gonna say that they're gonna go win a national championship next year, but they very well could win the Big 12 championship again and play for a New Year's Six bowl.